Hello, everyone. I just wanted to share a thought. One of the things with kind of just in time training, so to speak, I think is like training ourselves on something that we read that might have an impact with us or give us a distinction or even sometimes a reinforcement or just remembering something that's important. Um, and tell you a quick story. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood, a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Oh, would you be mine? Oh, could you be mine? Oh, would you be my neighbor? Anyway, um, Tom Hanks did a movie on Mr. Rogers' life. I was scrolling through Apple TV, came across it. My kids laying in bed with me, and I got this great idea. Let's watch Mr. Rogers. They need to know it. I watched it all the time growing up, right? When I was 5 and 6, and so they're like, okay, yeah. So I actually went and looked up Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood because I wanted them to see a real episode before they saw the actual movie. And so we got about 5 minutes through the first episode that I was able to find, and completely uh, they just got disinterested very quickly, which I think kind of shows you like the production quality today and how stimulating something has to be to keep someone's attention, right? And that's what everyone's after right now is your attention. Everyone's after attention, including you as an entrepreneur, regardless of what business you're in. It's like, how do you cut through the noise to get someone's attention in 3 minutes or less, right? And so that's kind of what just in time training is about to me. And so after that, I was like, okay, well, let's just watch the movie. So I built it up, got to the movie. I didn't actually enjoy the movie at all. I thought it was very slow. But the one thing it did make me aware of and reminded me of how much little wisdom, like how many little things that Mr. Rogers would say that carried so much wisdom. And it could be a great pivot point, it could be a great anchoring point, especially in today's world where everything is so noisy, right? It's like, take you back. But Mr. Rogers was a guru of personal development. I mean, go back and look at some of his original episodes. And so it's something that my family shared together. And then my wife, Nancy, went and ordered a bunch of books. I went and ordered a bunch of books. Literally on my desk, I have like 6 Mr. Rogers books. Some of them are filled with quotes. But I would actually recommend, like in the reviews after this, go look up and share your favorite Mr. Rogers quote. But you'll be blown away by some of the wisdom, right? And so, because you got to remember, last time I really visited Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood I was probably 6 years old or 7 years old. I didn't even remember what he was saying or didn't have any relation or understanding of that wisdom. And so I'm going to give you one of the things that he says right here that kind of reminded me, and I thought this would be great to share for entrepreneurs or anyone looking to start a new journey. I know a lot of times when we get started on anything new in life, if you have a new goal, you have something you're looking to accomplish, one of the number one things that we have to remember is getting started is always the hardest part. It's always about the first step is the hardest step, and then building momentum after that. And I think this quote kind of sums that up. And we got to remember that everyone starts the exact same place, somewhere between scared and nervous. And so this is a book called The World According to Mr. Rogers, Important Things to Remember by Fred Rogers. And it's the challenges of inner discipline. And I think so many people self-sabotage themselves. We talked about that in another episode on the podcast, is self-sabotage and how a lot of times we can see something worse than it is to let ourselves off the hook. And I think a lot of times this comes from getting overwhelmed by what we're looking to accomplish or tackle. And so Mr. Rogers identifies the challenges of inner discipline as this quote: imagining something may be the first step in making it happen, but it takes the real time and real efforts of real people to learn things, make things, turn thoughts into deeds or visions into inventions. And so, what I took from that is your imagination is the most powerful tool that you have to create your future. And that first step is always the most important step to making something happen, right? It's about vision. Without vision, people perish. Is that you have to have a vision in order to make something happen. And then it takes real commitment. But the first step is the thought, right? And then you build step by step after that. You can't get overwhelmed by the task in front of you. And you have to realize that it's going to take time. That was the second thing he says. It takes real time in order for something to come to fruition. And I think today we underestimate time, or we take time for granted. And so anything that you see that's magnificent today, I can tell you there's been a lot of time and real efforts or real investment behind it. And that's what he talks about. It takes real time and real efforts of real people to learn things. And so, that's important, that we have to realize that whatever your goal is, whatever your vision is in your mind, you took the first step. Now follow through and remember that, over the course of time, with investment or effort, anything can come true. Like the impossible can become possible. And that's how you turn thoughts into things, right? Is by taking action step by step. And that's kind of what I took away from it. And it reminds me of journey that I had climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. When I looked up at that mountain, I got overwhelmed. I was out of shape. I hadn't trained. And I remember one of the Green Berets that we were with and Special Forces units from the United States military, he said, all you have to do is look at the person's heel in front of you. And what he was teaching me is that it's one step at a time. And so I think that's something important. Hopefully you'll take that away and it hits you at a period of your life, whether you're making a pivot, whether you're looking to tackle something new on any aspect of life, is that, go back to your vision as the first step, and then build momentum, right, behind that, forward momentum by giving it time to come to fruition. But it's 1% better. It's one step at a time. And turn your thought into a vision. Turn it into reality. And so hopefully that helped you guys. Appreciate you all tuning in. I would really challenge you guys. I think this is a really fun tool that kind of is programming and helping just remember of something fun to even share with kids is the magic of Mr. Rogers. But he did impact a lot of people's lives, and he had a ton of wisdom. So don't make fun. Go check it out. Leave a review. Just curious if you go Google some of his quotes or get one of his books. Make it a fun project. So with that being said, you can turn thoughts into things if you're willing to give it time, action, and also enlisting the right team, the right people. And big visions move people, right? Small visions don't serve the world. Big visions move people to action. So whatever it is that you're dreaming, whatever it is that you're seeing, go do it bigger, right? It's just as easy to dream big as it is to dream small. And always be positive and confident in all you do. So we'll talk to you next time.